Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Work It, Whip It, a forum on gender biases and job insecurity. Today, we're going to ask the question, do women still encounter gender biases in the workplace? I'm Ana P. Santos. I'm your host this afternoon, and I'm happy to introduce my co-host, artist, activist, Nikki Luna. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Anna.
It's so great to see you. Last time we saw each other was November, also at the Whip It Forum.
Exactly.
And that at that time, we were just discussing on the surface these gender biases, these stereotypes that women face.
But now I think it's going to be more exciting. We're going to be focusing on women and work.
Exactly. And we're focusing on work because we found out that gender justice and economic empowerment are two things that go hand in hand, and it's a must for women empowerment in general.
Definitely.
So this is a real life discussion for everyone. We're live streaming, and I'm sure a lot of people out there who are watching have a lot of insights. Dito rin po sa audience natin, we'll be calling on people to share their own experiences. Everybody's free to join in.
Yes, and for those who would like to join our forum, you can tweet us or post on our Facebook. You can send in your questions and comments and add hashtag #WhipIt. This is in partnership with Pantene.
Now we'd like to to open up our forum, we'd like to introduce our CEO at Rappler, Ms. Maria Ressa, to please give us a background on the Whip It campaign. Good afternoon, Maria.
Good afternoon, Maria.
Good afternoon, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and men. I have had great privilege of saying hello to many of you in person. Yeah. This is a very small room of very passionate people who are looking at gender issues across class, age, and gender. This is going to be an interesting thing, but I think the first step is thank you for coming, for talking about it. Why should we talk about it? Why should it even matter? We talk about it because talking about it is the first step to doing something about it. And with technology, now our conversation in this room is going out globally. And as it's going out globally, please, out there, come and join the conversation. And I want to show you the impact of the last Whip It campaign that we did. And if you take a look at this, geographic mentions. So the conversations that we begin today, take a look at what happened the last time we did this. That first little bump, the red one, is when the television commercial went out of the women gender bias, right? The big bump on around November 26th, that's the forum. And you can see these are mentions on social media. But what's interesting is after that, after we had that conversation, it rippled globally. Several publications picked it up. As they picked it up, you see the blue spike? That blue spike is the United States. And we didn't do anything in the US except the forum, but look at that huge spike. The peak of the spike was when Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg posted the Whip It campaign. What is Whip It? Whip It is really about whipping it. And in this one, we're also tagging it hashtag work it. We live with gender bias, all of us, men and women. And I think it's time to do something about it. The women here are doing something about it. We have a distinguished group of panelists. You will hear from them, but even more importantly, you will hear from the women in the room. So thank you very much, all of you, for coming today, for our two accomplished activist anchors. It is time for the journalists to step back and let real people speak. Let us talk about it. Let us do something about it. It's about the power of conversations, the power of stories, our stories, to have it ripple around the world and move action. Women do more than hold up half the sky. We need to find common ground across age, class, and gender and push forward a better world.
We actually have infographics gathered from early 2014, data provided by jobstreet.com. It shows where women work. And the local white-collar industries dominated by women and dominated by men. So here it is.
Let's look at the first slide. This first slide says that there are 14 industries dominated by women. And overwhelmingly, if you look at that, where that icon or that avatar of this lady is, it says 81% of women work in the travel or tourism industry.
Yes,
Did you find this interesting, Nikki?
very interesting. I'm sure our audience can see this too. You see, it's 81%, and it's women who are hired in these jobs, and comes the play of gender because they require usually anong nakikita nyo dun sa requirement pag sa travel and tourism, pleasing personality.
And
Diba?
other
It's a
physical
familiar-
attributes.
It's a familiar requirement, and that's a physical attribute, which is required.
All right, next slide. There are also 12 other industries slightly dominated. So yung isa dominated, ito naman slightly dominated by women. We see a large of the biggest pie here, or at 52% occupied by women, ay napupunta sa non-profit sector or organizations or social services and NGOs. At maganda rin dito siguro i-point out natin na meron tayong skew. If you look at the second row, the second pie from the left,
Lower.
58% of women are employed in call centers or
Yes.
BPOs.
Yeah.
At ang interesting dito, nalaman natin kanina, dati pala may batas na women cannot work beyond 10 p.m.
10
So
PM.
very empowering, very pioneering din to na women are allowed to work in or can work in call centers. Na alam naman natin ay 24 hours ang
Call centers.
shiftings dyan.
It's actually a breakthrough because women now are given opportunities and are not limited by time constraint.
Exactly.
It's-
Hindi lang limited by time constraint or imposition of time. Next slide. There are industries naman na kung saan equal ang men and women. And these 5 industries are telecommunications, law, exhibitions, research and development, and tobacco.
And I like this because my favorite is the law and legal. Wouldn't you want to see more women in the legal department for women's rights to continue fighting for it?
Para nalalagay yung boses natin ng kababaihan sa batas din natin.
Yes.
Next slide. Dito naman tayo, the industries that are dominated by men. There are 13 according to the survey. At nakikita natin na 65% of architectural services or interior design are dominated by men.
Yes, and actually, I can relate to this because being an artist, sa arts and design, malaki rin ang percentage ng pagiging prominent ng mga lalaki. And sa simpleng pagpepresenta pa lang ng artworks, they categorize if ginawa ng babae or lalaki.
Next slide. Okay, dito, 12 industries na predominantly dominated by men. 91% ay nasa marine or aquaculture industry. And ang napansin nga natin dito, the other industries here, oil and gas, repair and maintenance, electrical and electronics, meron siyang konting common denominator.
What is it, Anna?
I think it's the physical aspect. No, mabibigat na trabaho, physical labor,
labor-intensive.
very labor-intensive itong mga industries na ito. Alright, next slide. Okay. And actually, I think what we can see from these slides is that meron talagang mga iba't ibang industriya na may preference or meron kailangan mas babae, meron kailangan mas lalaki.
Yeah, we can see.
At meron din equal. Pero let's ask the women themselves, no?
Yeah. So anyway, we can, for those who aren't here, you can actually participate through Twitter and Facebook. Just keep sending your questions and comments and hashtag #WhipIt.
All right. And to get the forum rolling, we